and the project is consolidated to the gains made in the past 3 years, and that the project has been running. Now, the President Akufo-Addo was speaking at the gathering at the 2024 Green Ghana Day event at Bema Camp on Friday, June 7, 2024. I'll give you the details of that video later, but the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, in a collaboration with the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, the World Health Organization, WHO, and the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, the World Food Program, WFP, of the United Nations, and all stakeholders associated with the food value chain, commemorating the 2024 World Food Safety Day today, June 7, 2024. The day is set aside to raise awareness regarding the importance of food safety at all stages of the food value chain. This encourages action to prevent, detect, and manage foodborne illness, and contributing to the food security, human health, agriculture, and economic prosperity, market access, tourism, and sustainable development. The commemoration is paramount to untimely disseminating food safety information to all stakeholders. And joining us in the studio for a brief conversation on this is a member of the Veterinary Services Risks Communication and the veterinary technologist at the National Food Safety Laboratory and AMR reference for animal health, Michaela Amma Wickham. You're welcome.
Thank you very much
and,
for having
me. That's a big office and a mouthful.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It comes with a lot of responsibility.
It does it.
It does.
It has to, because this name there. Anyway, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Right. So what? When it comes to food safety, I don't know. I'm really a little careful about talking about it because of the economic situation.
Right.
People really don't mind what to eat anymore.
Yeah.
The little I eat is fine. It's not how safe it is. I don't really care. I just want to fill my stomach. Has that occurred to your office?
Well, when we talk about food safety, like you mentioned, because of economic crisis and the meltdown and the expenses,
yes,
people are just settling for anything.
Yes.
But then what is food, or what is food security without it being safe? Because why would I consume something and end up dying or falling sick out of it? So if a food is not safe to consume, it's not supposed to be considered as food. Food safety is simply everything and all the processes and actions you do to make sure food is safe. So this is from farm to fork. It involves handling, preparing, storing before you consume. So it's from the farm to the fork.
That was dangerous. I mean, when I heard from the farm to the... Okay, all right. Let's go. So the food outlets, do you also check food outlets today? I mean, where are we today when it comes to food outlets, if you have done some survey?
So because I work in the veterinary industry, mine is food from animal origin.
Okay.
And when it comes to food outlets, that's FDA's job. The stakeholders in the food value chain, we are so huge. We have so many. So we intersect at different points. So where our mandates do not meet others, we let the others take over. So from the veterinary point of view, I'm just coming from Aveno, and we went to speak to we went to speak to the slaughter facility handlers. We went to speak to the butchers. We went to speak to the farmers over there.
Pause there. I am an animal lover. So the slaughter people, I always monitor them on the road. The transportation of moving, and my producer is whispering to me that I love meat. I don't love meat. The transportation process, how to even carry the animal to the slaughterhouse, I find it so inhumane, even though they're animals. Animalistic. It's very unfair sometimes. If you are an animal lover, you watch the process and it's sad.
That's animal welfare, so that would fall under animal welfare.
So that one you don't care about that one?
Oh, we do. We actually do. Do you know, it will surprise you to know that the stress you put on an animal can actually affect the taste of the meat after slaughter.
What?
Yes, it does. So animal welfare is equally important until you even slaughter, just so the meat can be nutritious enough. So it's pretty important to us as well. And in that regard, we do a lot, like I mentioned. whenever we take samples from slaughter facilities and all, whatever we find out in the laboratories, we do dissemination to the Butchers Association, we do a dissemination to farmers, so we educate them on the various things. When we talk about the transport, so like I mentioned, the food value chain it's a very big sector, so there are so many key partners and key players in it. When it comes to transport, so we at the slaughter facilities, we do meat inspection. That's what our mandate allows us to do. So after the meat inspection, then it has to be transported, and then we have to take care of the environment. That becomes environmental health and sanitation officers' duty.
Job.
But then what we do is we need to make sure that how we certify this meat safe in the slaughter facility, it should be equally as safe when it gets to the market. But like I mentioned, it's a chain. So from the farm to the fork, it passes through so many faces and so many people's hands. How are we ensuring that the food is safe from the slaughter facility until it gets to the market? So this just goes to show that everyone has a role to play. Food safety is everyone's business. So as a consumer, you have a role to play. As a transport driver, you have a role to play. As an environmental health officer, you have a role to play. Me in the veterinary field, I also have a role to play. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Awareness creation is one, making sure I take samples. And even when samples come from the harbors and the seaports, we do check to ensure that these meats or these products are considered safe for consumption. They do not have antimicrobial residue, because that's also another thing when it comes to food from animal origin. So farmers that are putting their animals on antibiotics, they need to ensure that they observe withdrawal period. So withdrawal period is the time between which the medication is active in the animal system until it has been exhausted from the animal. Even as human beings, you do realize that before consumption, even as human beings, you do realize when you're on antibiotics and you pee, you do smell, you can sense it. It's same in the animal. So it means when you inject an animal or you give an animal antibiotic, it's very active in the animal's body system. So there is a withdrawal period. And for most of the drugs, you even find them on the packaging that until 21 days. So you'd have to wait till 21 days before you can even slaughter the animal or sell any product from that animal. That way you can ensure that there are no active metabolites of the medication within the system of the animal. Because when farmers do not observe withdrawal periods, when they do not observe it, what happens is when these animals are slaughtered or their products come to us, it's still containing the medication. And you consuming it, you're also consuming that medication. And what happens is your body becomes used to this medication. And we live with microorganisms. They live in our guts, they're on our skin. They help us in some ways, but some of them also cause diseases. So what happens is you're introducing them into an environment where they are settling and trying to adjust and become resistant to the medication. So it will get to a time you fall ill, you go to the hospital, and they know this is the illness. And then they're giving you this same medication they give to the animals. Because what we don't know is the same medication we give to the animals is what we take. So it gets into your system as a human being through food, and then now you go to the hospital and the medication is not working. This is because we have overused and misused, and we are not looking at the various means by which we consider our food safe.
But how well do we do in Ghana when it comes to food safety, and especially in the animal sector where you are? Because I watch certain videos, and you know Ghana, we like pork. We really love pork.
We do.
So sometimes I watch videos of people trying to put pieces of pork under, what do you call it, microscopes? Trying to look for like germs and things like that, you know, So I'm not sure how we do in Ghana.
So like I mentioned, in the veterinary space, I work at the National Food Safety Laboratory. So imported and exported animal food products and animals are checked in our facility. So different things can cause food not to be considered safe. Some can be bacteria, some can be viruses, and some can be parasites. So the microscope thing that you spoke about, most of it will be parasites from worms. That's why you're even advised to deworm every now and then. I mean, there are certain things we can do to protect ourselves, but some of the things are out of hand. So the things that are out of hand, we find means and ways to control it. So we do check, and then we also ensure movement permits are given. So when we discover there's an outbreak of a certain disease in some particular area, we restrict and we put a ban on the movement of those animals and animal products from that area across to markets and borders and whatsoever. Furthermore, we also make sure that these animals, as they are being contained, we are also treating them. And in the treatment process, we keep advising farmers to ensure that they are not self-medicating their animals, and they do it under veterinary supervision. Because sometimes we assume that, okay, I'm familiar with these signs and symptoms, so it might be this particular disease.
Yeah.
But what we don't know is so many other diseases mimic so many things. I mean, there's so many diseases that give us fever.
Yeah.
The fact that I have fever doesn't mean there's always malaria.
Yeah.
It could be something else. So you self-medicating is just you are putting the animal at risk, you're putting the human being at risk, and you are abusing and misusing medication, which is totally wrong. So yes, we do food safety checks at the veterinary service. So before you import or you export or you even move your animals, you need a veterinary health certificate and a permit from veterinary
How about the
services.
imports? I mean, the imported ones. I'm sorry, producers, but the imported ones, are we safe?
Yes, the imported ones.
I have totally, stayed away from frozen chicken. Yes.
So imported chicken, when it comes to Ghana, we do random sampling from the containers which they are coming from. And this random sampling, we do check for microbial counts, certain microbes that are found that are not considered safe, foodborne safe. So when we discover that, we do put an alert out there. But also, depending on the country it's coming from, we also keep tabs on the health situations in those countries. So when we notice that, there's avian influenza, which is bird flu in this particular country, and they've imported food products into our country, what we know is, okay, so this country has bird flu. So some of the parameters we'll be looking out for will be virology. So we'd have to take samples for bird flu to ensure that this particular product that came from that country, which we know is not supposed to be imported because they have this disease and there should be a ban, it's safe or it's not safe. So if it's considered unsafe, we put out a food safety alert. And the food safety alert goes to an intersectorial food safety committee. So there's FDA on it, there's Ghana Standards on it, there's Plant Protection Agency, there is customs, there is veterinary, it's intersectorial. So when there's an alert, it goes to everyone, and everyone plays their various roles according to their mandate.
Michaela, I'm grateful
for
your time.
Welcome.
Good afternoon to you. And that is the Services, Risks, Communication and Veterinary Technologist at the National Food Safety Laboratory and AMR reference of Animal Health, Michaela Ama. Welcome. You're still watching Newsbeat here on Metro TV. It's time for us to go for business news, but let me let you know that the executive chairman of the Jospong Group of Companies, Dr. Joseph Sianwe-Japong, has been communicating with foreign investors to partner with the Jospong Group of Companies. We'll bring you the details of that later in business.